Imagine waking up one day to headlines saying, Mexico has overtaken the United States to become the largest economy in North America. Sounds impossible, right? The US has been the undisputed economic powerhouse of the Western Hemisphere for over a century. But here's the surprising truth. The factors pushing Mexico upward and dragging the US downward are already in motion. And if you think this is just a distant fantasy, you might be shocked at how soon this economic shift could actually happen. So, could Mexico really overtake the United States economy? Let's dive in. First, let's start with the obvious. Mexico has geography on its side. Unlike China or Vietnam, Mexico doesn't need to ship goods halfway around the world. It literally shares a 2,000-mile border with the US, the biggest consumer market on Earth. When global supply chains were disrupted during the pandemic, companies learned a painful lesson. Being dependent on factories 7,000 miles away can be disastrous. That's where nearshoring comes in. Instead of building your factory in Asia, why not move it just south of Texas? It's cheaper, faster, safer. And suddenly, Mexico becomes the perfect manufacturing hub. And it's already happening. In 2023, Mexico surpassed China as America's largest trading partner for the first time in 20 years. That shift wasn't a blip. It's a glimpse into the future. Now let's talk people. Every economy is powered by its workforce. The US has a problem. Its population is aging. By 2050, 1 in 5 Americans will be over 65. Fewer workers, more retirees, heavier social costs. For Mexico, it's the opposite. Its median age is just 29, compared to 39 in the US. That's a massive advantage. A younger population means more workers, more consumers, more taxpayers. This demographic dividend is something the US and much of the developed world has already lost. If Mexico can harness this youth bulge with jobs and education, it becomes an unstoppable growth engine. Now, let's stack another card in Mexico's favor: manufacturing. Already, Mexico produces everything from cars to electronics to aerospace components. Entire cities like Monterrey and Guadalajara are becoming global tech hubs. Here's a stat that should make you raise an eyebrow. In the auto sector, Mexico is now the 4th largest car exporter in the world. Tesla, BMW, and Toyota are all expanding factories there, not in the US. And Mexico isn't just assembling products. It's moving up the value chain: electronics, medical devices, even software. Then there's energy. Mexico is blessed with oil, gas, solar, and wind. While the US energy grid faces aging infrastructure and political battles over green transitions, Mexico has a chance to leapfrog into cheaper, more flexible energy sources. Now, to be clear, the United States economy is massive: $27 trillion compared to Mexico's $1.8 trillion. That's a giant gap. But size alone doesn't guarantee dominance forever. Empires collapse when the cracks inside get too deep. And here's the thing: the US is showing cracks. National debt spiraling past $34 trillion. Political gridlock making long-term planning nearly impossible. Infrastructure that's old, crumbling, and expensive to replace. A shrinking middle class weighed down by healthcare costs and housing prices. All of this means the US will keep growing, but slower. Mexico, on the other hand, has the advantage of being a catch-up economy. Growth comes faster when you're building from a lower base. Let's talk about one of Mexico's biggest strategic advantages: the USMCA, the updated NAFTA trade agreement. This agreement gives Mexico privileged access to the US and Canadian markets. And here's the kicker: as the US tries to decouple from China, American companies don't just want to keep their supply chains close. They have to. Trade tariffs and security concerns are pushing them to shift production into Mexico. That means Mexico isn't just trading with the US. It's becoming an extension of the American industrial base. But with one key difference: it captures the jobs, the factories, and the economic growth. Let's zoom in. The future of Mexico isn't only in trade stats, it's visible in its booming cities. Monterrey is becoming the industrial Silicon Valley of Mexico, attracting multi-billion-dollar investments from global manufacturers. Guadalajara is evolving into a tech hub, already nicknamed the Mexican Silicon Valley. Even Tijuana, long seen as just a border town, is now a thriving center for medical device manufacturing. And then there's Mexico City, one of the largest urban economies on Earth, rivaling New York and Tokyo in sheer size. As these cities modernize, they're becoming magnets for talent and innovation. Currencies matter more than most people think. If a country's currency is too expensive, its exports become less competitive. That's a problem the US dollar has. It's so strong that American companies struggle to export cheaply. Mexico's peso, by contrast, has been remarkably stable while still keeping Mexican exports affordable. Investors are even calling it the super peso. That stability makes Mexico a safer bet for foreign capital. Now, let's slow down for a second, because Mexico isn't about to walk straight into superpower status without obstacles. Corruption remains widespread. Drug cartels still wield enormous power, undermining rule of law in some regions. Infrastructure, while improving, can lag behind demand. And education gaps could slow down Mexico's ability to fully take advantage of its young population. So yes, there are serious risks. But remember, almost every country that eventually became a great power, including the US itself, had to overcome massive internal problems. The question isn't whether Mexico has problems, it's whether those problems outweigh its advantages. And right now, the scales are tipping. If Mexico continues its rise, the implications are enormous. For the US, it means your neighbor to the south isn't just a partner, it could eventually be a competitor. For China, it means losing its status as America's factory floor. For Latin America, it means a potential regional leader that could rival Brazil. And for the world, it means that the next economic giant might not be in Asia, but right next door to the United States. Let's bring it all together. Mexico has the geography, the demographics, the trade deals, and the momentum. The US, meanwhile, is grappling with an aging population, soaring debt, and political paralysis. Right now, the US economy is still over 10 times larger than Mexico's. But history teaches us that economic dominance doesn't last forever. Britain once ruled the global economy, then America overtook it. China has already surpassed the US in purchasing power terms, and now Mexico could be the next surprise challenger. So, could Mexico actually overtake the United States economy? Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not even in the next 2 decades. But if you're thinking it's impossible, remember, every empire in history thought the same, right before they fell. And here's the real twist. If the US and Mexico integrate even further, maybe the future won't be about one overtaking the other at all. Maybe the future North American economy will be less about competition and more about creating the world's most powerful economic bloc. But until then, don't be surprised when the headlines about Mexico's rise start rolling in, sooner than you think.